Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about top 5
best full-frame camera.
Starting at number 5.
Sony a7R III. I actually found that the huge files of the Sony a7R III slowed down my Lightroom workflow, which is one of the main reasons I decided to sell it in favor of the Sony a7 III. This said, the Sony a7R III is still an absolutely incredible camera, and will continue to appeal to a certain section of the photographer population. The Sony a7 III is marketed as the brand's basic model, so for those who crave that little bit extra in terms of massive image resolving performance, there really is only one true king.
Coming at number 4.
Sony a7R III. I held off for so long before switching to mirrorless cameras for my wedding photography work, but the Sony a7R III was the camera that made finally me take the jump. Ironically, it was ShotKit's own review of the Sony a7R III that really had me reaching for my credit card. Even the reviewer, to whom we'd sent a loaner version of the camera, ended up selling his Canon DSLR gear in favor of the new system. At the core of the Sony a7R III lies a 42.2 MP back-illuminated full-frame exmor CMOS sensor, with some of the innovations borrowed from the Sony a9 to boost performance to truly world-class levels. Whilst the previous generation could only manage 5 frames per second burst shooting, the enhanced processing power inside the Sony a7R III sees that rate double to 10 frames per second for up to 28 uncompressed 14-bit RAWs. One thing to note before we delve into all the pros of this camera is that buffer clearing times even with the fastest Lexar Pro 2000X UHS-2 memory cards can be quite slow, 14 seconds after shooting 30 uncompressed RAW files.
At number 3.
Nikon D750W. Every now and then a camera manufacturer will release a full-frame digital camera that causes users of completely different brands to jump ship. The Nikon D750 had this effect way back in 2014, and it continues to have it today. Some of you may be surprised that I'm listing this aging full-frame camera here in my roundup of the best of 2024, but hear me out. For the price you can buy it for today, the Nikon D750 is an absolute steal of a purchase.
Number 2 of my list.
Nikon D850FX. I waited a long time for the Nikon D850 full-frame DSLR camera to arrive. Me and hundreds of thousands of other photographers. I started my professional photography career with the Nikon D700, a camera I fell in love with and miss shooting with even today. See my mini Nikon D700 review. Next came the Nikon D750, which I'll talk more about below, and then there was a wait that seemed like an eternity. Nothing was inherently wrong with the Nikon D750, but photographers start getting impatient when other brands are launching fancy new cameras all around them and they're stuck with a seemingly aging model. The Nikon D850 is actually more of an update to the Nikon D810 than an update to the D750. It's an 8 series camera after all, but the 50 is a subtle hint that D750 shooters should really head this way too.
And number 1.
Sony a7 III ILCE7M III. Oh Sony, what did you do to the camera market in 2018? I can't remember a camera release that piqued so much interest as the incredible Sony a7 III. Sony has made a name for itself for fast-moving innovation in the mirrorless camera market, and with the Sony a7 III, its position has been cemented as a major competitor to Canon and Nikon, set to disrupt DSLR sales worldwide. While the other big camera manufacturers choose to release updated versions of their full-frame camera models every few years, Sony seems to rush out its releases every year, often to the confusion/delight of consumers. The Sony a7 III is a strange beast, eating into not only the established DSLR owner market but also cannibalizing sales of Sony's more expensive offerings. You'll see 2 other Sony mirrorless cameras below in this list of the best full-frame cameras of the year. Both of them offer certain features that the Sony a7 III does not, but these features only appeal to a very small number of photographers.
Check out this video description for latest price and more informations. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned.